Chapter 12. Are you right or left-handed? It's very humbling to be ignored by people you had always considered to be your peers. You realize that you've become so insignificant that your newly acquired superiors will only acknowledge you if and when they so desire. Until that time comes, you just sit silently waiting until perchance your existence is needed. As we sat at the table during that what seemed to be an unending meal, my associate and I had apparently become invisible. The other men around the table completely excluded us from their conversation. They laughed and talked about the events of the day, making eye contact with each other while completely ignoring our existence. I just tried to keep myself calm, waiting for that dreaded moment when the attention of the table would be turned to me. What would happen then? I wouldn't have to wait long to find out. My old friend was halfway through his dinner when he set down his fork and informed the two men in black coats that they could go. They stood up, without saying a word, turned, and left the room. Now, I had seen enough Godfather movies in my past to have their departure from the room bring me little to no comfort at all. The first thought that came into my mind was that they would be waiting for us outside, waiting in the dark parking lot for the real action to begin, waiting for their two victims to leave the restaurant with their guard down, just ripe for an unsuspecting ambush. Then my old friend turned his attention from the men exiting the restaurant and faced me directly, his sharp black eyes riveting upon me. "So, I hear that you are a thief now," he informed me, with a slight sneer on his lips. They say that when a person is facing imminent death, their whole life flashes before them. I experienced a quick version of this phenomenon. In one sense, my old friend's words struck me as humorous, even though laughing was the furthest thing from my mind, and to actually do so would have been extremely disastrous to my overall health. My whole past relationship with my friend had been founded upon criminal activity. We had mugged people, broken into other drug dealers' homes, stolen from businesses, and had beaten people to a pulp, sometimes for money and sometimes just for kicks. As far as my friend was concerned, I had always been a thief. This reality had never bothered him until now. The hidden message behind his words was actually, "You thought you had what it takes to steal from me, did you?" Now is not a time for smart comebacks. It may look good in Hollywood when Hollywood portrays it, but in real life, with real stakes on the line, humble, contrite answers are always the best response. I looked into his face and I nodded my head in confession to the accusation. My friend sat in his chair, in the chair of judgment, and looked deeply into my eyes. His black shark-like eyes tore their way into my soul and effectively reached their desired end. There was absolutely no smile on his face now, only dead seriousness. "You know what we do with thieves where I come from, don't you?" he asked me, knowing that I was not ignorant of the answer. My old friend had moved to Canada from a different part of the world. He came from a country where they removed the thief's hand if he was caught stealing, so that he could never steal with that particular hand again. In friendlier days, he had told me as much as we mocked the leniency of our own legal system and its lame punishments. At this sobering moment, this foreign penal code seemed much more of a reality and hardly the topic to joke about. I again answered his question with a nonverbal response, avoiding looking him in the eye. I nodded my head, showing him that I remembered quite well the lesson he had taught me a couple of years earlier. Then came the question I could not answer with a simple nod or shake of my head. I had to respond aloud, disclosing information which would decide my punishment, the payment he deemed just. With absolute gravity, he asked me, "What hand do you write with, Dale?"